This is a 2006 ER6N Kawasaki. She's done 3,400 miles. This is how do you do it, oil and filter change on this bike.
It's showtime.
First stage, take out this underside panel, 2 Torx either side, undo them, and this will just pop straight off. Now when you're working, it's worth having a kneeling mat if you need to kneel down, just so your knees don't get worn out. Wear overalls if you can, just so your clothes and all that sort of stuff don't get grimy, not muddy, and make sure you have tool set ready to go. If you're working in an oily environment, don't step in that oil basically, or else you get oil on your shoes and boots. It's not a good idea. So I'm going to use a K&N oil filter on her. Replace the oil. This will be a guide on how to do it. I just had a test ride on the ER6F and we just bought the bike. So she's going to go. My baby Kawasaki's going to go. This little beauty that's kept me going. If you can, have lighting around where you work and have a light because you are going to need it. So undo the bolts and this will drop out. The tool you're going to need, quite simply, Ratchet. This is a 5mm Torx. So once you've loosened them off, you can just do this by hand. Once you've undone the bolts, be prepared to grab it as this is going to drop. It really is that simple. Whenever you're working, it's best to keep everything together. So whatever parts you've taken off, keep your tools with you. This so you don't lose them, because you never want to lose your tools. Kawasaki, I mean, pretty simple. So on the sump of the engine, basically got this thing sticking out right here, right next to the exhaust on the right hand side. Undo this and the oil will come out. Use a bowl, something to catch the oil, and that will drain the oil out of the engine. Loosen this off, and what it's going to do is let air get into the sump of the engine, if you like. Oh.
Sometimes they get a little tight, so you're going to help them along a bit.
Yeah. Still won't move. Any bike can do this.
Just a little bit of
just wear. Hot and cold, yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? Everything expands, contracts, and then it kind of locks itself in. So just loosen that, and what it's going to do is let air get into this, and when you drain the oil out, it's going to make the oil drain out a lot quicker for you, and you'll get as much oil out as you can out the engine. Oddly enough, this black oil is actually seems to be a feature of these ER6s. They seem just to have black oil. What you'll need is a 17mm socket and a ratchet, quite a big one, extension, and just crack it off. Then as you're doing that, undo the bolt by hand, so what will happen is oil will start dripping out the more undone the bolt gets. You want to be able just to grab it so it doesn't drop into the bucket that will take the oil in. It will just make life more difficult for you. Well, this is going to be an interesting one. So, it's going to be fairly tight. Oh, fuck's sake. I ain't got one more. Oh. Once you've undone that, this is where you want to do it by hand. It's going to start hissing out, so be very quick with this. Oh yeah. As I said, don't be afraid to undo that. All you're doing is just undoing it. Some people take the actual oil cap off, and that just leads to contamination and debris getting inside your engine. So just unscrew it slightly. So all you're wanting is just air to get in there, as long as there's a... There you go. Oh, look at that. Ooh. Thick and black. That was black. As I said, characteristic of this bike and ER6s. I don't know why.
We saw worse on the Hondas, didn't we?
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
That was like porridge
Shit.
coming out. It was like syrup, and like Honda said, that's just a characteristic of the
That's
bike.
characteristic of the
And the
bike.
owner was like,
fucking
the
what?
owner was believing it, and we were like, mate, that's syrup coming out there, dude. You've got yourself a problem.
This type doesn't need a washer. This is just kind of like Toyota, where you just put it in. Easy mistake to make, but don't do it. Just don't put on brake cleaner. Don't clean this with chemicals, because what will happen is, oh, it's clean and I put it in, but the new oil is going to contaminate with what you just sprayed on the threads and on the bolt. And you don't want to contaminate your oil, so just give it a cloth, job done. Once you're happy it's drained out, you've given the sump bung a bit of a clean, Torx ratchet, job done. So you need to torque the bolt up to whatever tightness Kawasaki said it should be. So you're probably thinking, well, why don't I get a cloth and just wipe this before I put the bolt in? Problem is the oil's still going to drip, so just put the bolt in, put the sump bung back in. Just leave it at that, really. Get it lined up as best you can. Tighten up. Now, as you kind of start losing grip, take a cloth, just do it like that. Doing a oil and filter change doesn't take too long on this bike. Kawasaki have made it fairly straightforward, really, fairly easy. If you want to do the spark plugs and the air filter, you're going to need to take the tank off. It takes a bit longer, but could be worse. Could be working on a Chinese bike. Oh fuck, I'd hate that job. Oh, Chinese piece of shit. No way. At least I'm working on a Kawasaki. Sometimes you got to think of it like that. You should appreciate what you're actually working on, because there are manufacturers where they've got really crappy cars, really crappy bikes, and you just hate working on them because all they do is screw you over, make bolts not want to go in properly, and then just, well, basically just screw you over purely because they can. Just, yeah. Right, so take the ratchet and torque it up. That's good. Sometimes it's really easy. You don't want to over tighten stuff because you damage threads. And the K&N uses the same 17mm socket. This one you're going to have to be fairly quick with it because it's going to want to stop pissing out. What you're looking for is a sight glass, and if you see,
Yeah, just
blow on.
bang it in.
Try not to overfill it, or else you have to do this all over fucking again. It's like, oh, for God's sake.
One of the mistakes people make when doing this is they fill up the oil, then turn their bikes on and ride off.
Yeah.
What you've got to take into account is when you've done this, you need to run the bike up for, even if it's for 60 seconds, just to let oil get into the oil filter. And you'll notice it will drop off.
We have changed it.
Nice clean oil.
The reason why you're turning the engine over is just so the oil gets into everything. The oil is going to drop off a bit because of how it's coating on the bits. And once you've done that once, then you're going to get a proper reading. And then you're done.
Again, common mistake people make, which is filling up their bike with oil, making sure it's on the max, then riding off. Not realising that the actual oil filter needs oil.
Ready?
And now what you've got is the oil stabilised.
Yeah, look
The oil
at that.
filter's had its bit. Beautiful.
Job done. Let it drain for a bit, put the new oil filter back in. Sometimes, I've just noticed this in the past, it helps if you fill the oil filter before you put it in.
You've got to be quick though, haven't you?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
something worth doing.
Especially if it's horizontal and you're screwing it in, so you can put some oil in it anyway to help you along, and then screw it in as quickly as possible.
Yes.
It can be done. It takes practice.
Whenever you put in stuff like this, quite about some people, it's just experience. They take the tool and they just screw in the bolt or the screw, but the problem with the tool is if there's a problem with the thread, if there's a problem when it goes in, you're not going to feel it with the tool, but you will feel it with your hands. Always put it in with your hands first, and if there are no problems, you won't have a problem.
What sort of problem would you have?
If the bolt got really tight and then it wasn't going in anymore.
Cross-threading?
Cross-threading is a good one. Problem is, tools are more powerful in the hands.
Yeah, you can't feel the cross-threading until it's tightened up.
But you can with your hands, and you have that point where I need to stop and not cause any more problems, and just step back and just think about it. Rather than going, oh, fuck, what have I done? So, worth giving this a clean. Job done.
So if I can add my bit to Luke's video, this is the oil that came out of his Kawasaki. And if there was anything I had to say about oil, please people, do not put this down the sink, down the drain outside. It needs to be properly disposed of. It's not only toxic if you ingest it, but if you're a worm or a little animal in the soil, it's going to fuck you up. Apart from that, if you really think about it, this oil can outlive you. So if I poured this into the ground, made a little hole, poured it into the ground and come back to it 200 years from now, that piece of ground is still going to be contaminated from this and the impurities that are in it. You'll be dead and buried by then. That's how nasty this stuff is. So it needs to be properly disposed of. We actually have a company that collects our waste oil, and we chose them for what they do with the waste oil, rather than it being burnt and retask it for other things. But honestly guys, the oil is incredibly nasty stuff. If you really have to dump it, take it down to your local recycling centre. There'll be a council recycling centre not far away from you. You'll be able to put it in a container there. You know, and I'm not the biggest eco warrior either. I believe there's a part we have to play, and that is just being responsible. Enjoy your motorcycling, guys, but do give a little bit of thought to what you do with your waste oil. I know a few guys who have put it in the old container and then thrown it in the waste, you know. It's not cool. So what the boys are doing in the office. Should be a dog in there somewhere. Oh yeah, here is next to him. He's getting his motorcycle gear. He's just serviced his bike. I think later on today he's going to review it.
When you dispose of the oil, you need to dispose of it properly. Dad talked about it. I was busy doing stuff. Basically, if I chuck it in a river or I chuck it on the ground, that oil is just going to contaminate everything it comes to. You wouldn't want to drink it, would you?
If I come and dig it up 50 years from now, it'll still be contaminated.
Yeah.
You know?
And you might have the thought that, well, the water purification, they can't purify what's in that oil out of the water supply. They can't do it. It's too bad. It's like if we just trashed everything around us, nothing would be usable. We need to look after the environment we have to live in. We have to look after the bloody land and water and earth and crap. If you don't know, have a garage dispose of it for you. Just as long as it's disposed properly, just do that. And I hope you have a good day. And now the review of the Kawasaki ER6N shall be made. And the battery's about to die.
The way we...
The little rascal has spewed. As was it?
This is the end of the trail for me.
Thank you.
Heck you, kid.